On the way to my graduate school entrance exam, my parents suddenly revealed a secret about my background. Emily, after the exam, don't rush home. We have some important news for you. My mother's voice was oddly gentle, yet her words sent a chill down my spine. Our real daughter is coming back. At first, I thought they were joking, but then, my brother Daniel, the person who had always protected me, pulled me into a quick hug before whispering in my ear, "Emily, it's true. From now on, you can't call me your brother anymore." I froze. Seeing my pale face, my parents laughed casually, as if this was all just an amusing situation to them. "Did you really think that after our biological daughter returns, you can still stay in this house and continue calling us Mom and Dad?" Daniel, usually gentle, now ruffled my hair with an almost mocking touch. "Emily, don't be foolish. Wake up. From now on, we're just strangers. Understand?" I stood frozen in front of the university gates, my mind completely blank. The weight of their words pressed down on me like an avalanche. Just moments ago, my uncle, who had always taken care of my schooling, checked my exam admission card and reminded me to stay calm. But now, that same uncle stood before me with a cold smile. "What's with that expression, Emily? Don't tell me you actually don't want our real daughter to come home?" He chuckled, but his words cut deeper than a knife. "She is the real heiress. And you've been nothing but a fake all these years, taking everything that should have belonged to her. Don't you feel guilty at all, or are you still planning to fight for what's not yours?" I could barely comprehend what he was saying. My mind was still trying to process the revelation that my entire existence in this family had been a mistake, a fraud. In my head, I kept replaying the morning before the exam, the moments when my father personally went to the kitchen to make me breakfast, wishing me good luck, and my mother, always elegant, dressed in a formal gown, sending me off with warm encouragement. Even my brother, Daniel, had canceled an important meeting to drive me to the exam. They had cared for me just seconds ago, and yet, in the blink of an eye, their warmth turned to cold indifference. Their gazes had changed, as if they were now looking at a stranger, or worse, a trespasser. "From now on, we are strangers." Their voices echoed in my mind. I forced myself to step into the exam hall. I smiled weakly, as if trying to convince myself that everything was fine. "Congratulations, everyone, on your happy reunion." With those final words, I walked inside, leaving behind the only family I had ever known. I lowered my head and walked through the security checkpoint, my fingers trembling slightly. The exam proctor noticed my swollen eyes and hesitated for a moment before asking, "Are you okay? Nothing is more important than the graduate exam. Try to adjust your mindset." I nodded mechanically, forcing myself to suppress the burning pain in my chest. "They say you must first give up what you love to pass an exam. But I haven't even passed yet, and my family has already abandoned me. How ridiculous." Even if they had decided to cut ties with me, couldn't they at least wait 2 more days? Couldn't they have let me finish my exams in peace before dropping this bombshell? I clenched the exam pen tightly in my palm. The pain in my heart was overwhelming, yet there was nothing I could do except face reality. They found their real daughter. They don't want me anymore. Fine. Then, as they wished, I would disappear completely. Just wait 2 more days until my graduate school exams were over. Then, I would leave this city forever. From 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., I forced myself to calm down and focus on the test. Even though my heart was shattered, I couldn't allow my emotions to ruin everything I had worked so hard for over the past year. I pushed through the pain, completing every question meticulously. When the exam ended, I walked out of the testing center storage area, collected my phone, and instinctively checked my messages. And that was when I saw it. A notification from my family's group chat. Or rather, a notification that I had been removed from it. I stared at the screen in disbelief. I wasn't even given a chance to leave on my own. My father had already kicked me out of the group chat. A private message appeared in my inbox. It was from him. "Dad, how was your exam this morning? You've worked so hard. I'm sure you did well." For a brief second, my heart ached. But then the second message arrived. "Dad, oh right, I removed you from the family chat. Don't take it the wrong way, it's just that you might feel awkward staying in there. After all, we're a family of 4 now, and you probably wouldn't feel comfortable seeing all the messages. Hope you understand." My chest tightened, making it impossible to breathe. Was I supposed to be grateful? Was I supposed to thank him for considering my feelings? How ridiculous. I had always believed I had the happiest family. I had always been loved, or so I thought. My father had adored me. My mother had cherished me. My brother had protected me whenever I was sick, staying up all night to take care of me. How could it all be fake? How could all of that mean nothing just because we weren't related by blood? I couldn't understand. A car suddenly pulled up in front of me. Through the lowered window, I saw Daniel's familiar face. "Emily, why are you crying? Did the exam not go well?" His voice was gentle, but utterly detached. I had spent the past year studying relentlessly, through sleepless nights, exhaustion, and even high fevers in the emergency room. By all logic, this exam should have been easy for me. Only now did I realize I hadn't even noticed when the tears had started falling. I quickly wiped them away, forcing myself to pretend to be calm. I finished the test. Daniel's expression relaxed, as if a burden had been lifted from his shoulders. I knew it. "Come on, let's go get something to eat." As we passed by the mall, Daniel suddenly stopped the car and dragged me into the cosmetics counter. "Emily, pick a skincare set. I'll pay." My cold heart warmed for a second. "You don't have to, I don't need any." Daniel smiled, shaking his head. "It's not for you, it's for Olivia. She wants to meet you for lunch." My world shattered all over again. I smiled faintly. "Sure, let's pick something she'll like." Little did they know, by the time they met Olivia, I would be gone. Forever. By the time we arrived at the restaurant, it was almost 1 p.m. I glanced at my watch. My afternoon exam started at 2 p.m., and I needed to be inside the exam hall by 1:30 p.m. I had no time for this. Before stepping into the private dining room, I told Daniel, "After we give Olivia her gift, I have to go straight to the exam center." Daniel hesitated, then sighed. All right, but in front of Olivia, don't call me brother anymore. Just call me Daniel. She's my real sister. I don't want her to feel uncomfortable." I froze. The brother who once spoiled me, who once said I was the most precious person in the world, was now asking me to erase the bond we once had. I tightened my grip on the gift bag and forced a smile. "Of course, from now on, we're just strangers." With that, I pushed open the door. Inside, my parents and Olivia were already waiting. "Emily, you're here." My mother greeted me with enthusiasm. "Come in and meet Olivia." I stepped forward, my face unreadable. Olivia smiled sweetly, holding out a giant teddy bear almost as tall as I was. "Emily, this is for you. It's my way of saying hello to my new sister." She was perfect, sweet, gentle, the kind of daughter any parent would be proud of. I handed her the expensive skincare set I had just bought. "And this is from me." Olivia took one look at it and giggled. "Oh my gift is so much bigger than yours. I hope you don't mind, Emily." I clenched my fists under the table. I could feel my parents' eyes on me, watching, waiting, comparing. No matter what I did, I would never be good enough again. I could never compete with their real daughter. Not anymore. I stood up abruptly. "I have an exam to take. I won't be staying for lunch." Olivia pouted. "Did I say something wrong? Why are you leaving so soon?" My mother's smile faltered. "Emily, you should stay. Olivia waited an hour just to see you." Daniel pulled out a chair for me. "Just sit down, eat a few bites." I turned to leave. "Enjoy your family reunion. It's not my place to be here anymore." As I stepped out of the restaurant, my phone buzzed with a message. "Professor Lucas. Emily, do you want to be my daughter?" My breath caught in my throat. A daughter. Not a replacement, not a burden, a daughter. For the first time that day, I smiled, and then, without looking back, I walked away. After finishing my afternoon exam, I didn't go home right away. I knew what was waiting for me there. But where else could I go? By the time I finally stepped through the front gate, the sky had already darkened. The moment I opened the door, I felt it immediately. This was no longer my home. The living room was brightly lit, and the air was filled with laughter and warmth. A beautiful girl sat on the sofa, surrounded by my parents and Daniel. Olivia Carter, the real daughter of the family. She was dressed in an elegant dress, her delicate features glowing under the chandelier light. She looked exactly like someone who belonged here. And me, I was nothing more than an outsider. Olivia, try this dessert. Your dad specially ordered it for you. It's from your favorite bakery. My mother's voice was gentle and affectionate, a tone I hadn't heard directed at me in years. Olivia giggled, taking a small bite. It's delicious. Dad, you're the best. My father laughed heartily, his expression filled with pure joy. Anything for my princess. I stood frozen by the door, my hands tightening around the strap of my bag. Princess? He had never called me that, not even once. Daniel handed Olivia a glass of warm milk. Drink this before bed. It'll help you sleep better. He used to do that for me, every single night. A sharp pain twisted in my chest. I'm home, I said softly. The room fell silent. For the first time, they finally noticed me standing there. My mother frowned slightly, as if my presence was inconvenient. Emily, why are you back so late? We didn't know if you were coming home, so we didn't set a place for you at dinner. It's fine, I replied, forcing a smile. I already ate. I lied. I hadn't eaten a single bite all day. But what did it matter? Daniel glanced at me, his expression unreadable. Didn't you get a hotel room? I thought you weren't staying here anymore. I swallowed hard. I just came back to pack some things. A strange silence settled in the room. Olivia suddenly spoke up, her voice gentle and sweet. Emily, I hope I'm not taking up too much space. Mom and Dad insisted I move into the master bedroom, but if you still want it, I can. No need, I interrupted. The master bedroom, the one I had lived in for years. The one filled with my memories, my belongings, my entire childhood. And now, it belonged to her. I clenched my fists. I won't be staying long. I walked up the stairs to my old room, but when I opened the door, it was empty. All my furniture, my decorations, my books, gone. Instead, there were new sheets, new curtains, new everything. A soft, flowery scent filled the air. It wasn't my perfume. It was Olivia's. It was as if I had never lived here at all, as if I had never existed. I turned around sharply. Where are my things? A maid stepped forward hesitantly. Miss Emily, the madam asked us to clear out the room. Your belongings are in the storage closet in the basement. The basement. They didn't even throw my things away. They just tossed them into storage, like I was nothing more than a forgotten object. Something inside me cracked. I made my way to the basement, my footsteps echoing in the silence. Dim light flickered from the single bulb above. I found my belongings stacked haphazardly in the corner, boxes filled with my clothes, books, childhood memories. I opened one of the boxes, my fingers brushing against an old photo frame. It was a picture of me, Daniel, and my parents, taken years ago during a family vacation. We were smiling. Back then, I truly believed I was loved, that I was one of them. But now I understood the truth. I never belonged here. I never did. I grabbed the few things that mattered, my diplomas, my important documents, a handful of photos. Then I headed back upstairs. Olivia was standing near the staircase, waiting for me. She smiled softly. I hope we can be sisters, Emily. I know this situation is hard, but I'd really like to get to know you. I stared at her. She was kind, gentle, innocent. None of this was her fault. And yet, I couldn't stand the sight of her. Not because of what she had done, but because of what she represented, everything I had lost. I don't need a sister. With that, I walked past her. I didn't look back. Not at her. Not at my parents. Not at Daniel. I stepped out of the house and into a world where I had nowhere left to go. I arrived at the house late in the evening. A strong gust of wind swept through the driveway as I stepped out of the taxi, my fingers tightening around my suitcase handle. I pressed the doorbell. No one answered. Through the iron gates, I could see the mansion glowing warmly under the golden lights. Inside, laughter echoed. Their laughter. The family that no longer included me. I rang the doorbell again. Finally, the maid, Martha, hurried outside, her face filled with hesitation. "Miss Emily," she whispered, looking around nervously. "You shouldn't be here." My stomach twisted. "I just need to pack my things. Let me in." Martha bit her lip, glancing toward the house. "Mr. Carter gave strict orders. You're not allowed inside tonight." I felt my heart drop. "Not allowed inside?" I repeated, barely able to believe it. Martha hesitated, then nodded. "They said they don't want Olivia to feel uncomfortable." The wind howled through the night, cutting through my thin jacket. I clenched my fists. "Martha, please, just let me take my belongings. I won't stay long." The maid looked conflicted. I would lose my job if I let you in." I swallowed the lump in my throat. I had lived in this house for years. I had thought of these people as my family. And now I was nothing but a trespasser. "Then, can you at least bring out my documents?" I whispered. Martha's eyes filled with pity. "I'll try." While waiting, I wrapped my coat tighter around myself, my body trembling, not just from the cold, but from the humiliation. Through the windows, I saw Olivia sitting comfortably at the dining table. My mother placed a plate of food in front of her, smiling warmly. My father poured her a glass of wine, toasting to her return. Daniel laughed at something she said, his expression soft and affectionate. They looked happy, happier than I had ever seen them. As if I had never existed. Tears burned my eyes. Martha returned after nearly 20 minutes, carrying a small bag. "I packed your important documents," she whispered. I reached for it, but before I could, she hesitated. "Emily, are you really leaving?" I let out a hollow laugh. "I don't have a choice, do I?" She sighed, finally handing me the bag. "I wish things were different." "Me too." With that, I turned around and walked away. I wandered through the empty streets, the city lights flickering above me. For the first time in my life, I had nowhere to go. No home, no family. I had been discarded like trash. I walked for hours, my feet ached, but I couldn't stop. Because if I stopped, I would have to face the crushing reality that I was truly, completely alone. At some point, my legs gave out and I collapsed onto a bench near an empty cafe. I pressed my hands against my face, forcing back tears. "Where am I supposed to go?" I whispered to myself. "You don't know yet?" A deep, unfamiliar voice cut through the silence. I looked up. A man stood before me, his dark coat billowing slightly in the wind, his sharp gaze locked onto mine, his lips curling into a small, knowing smile. "Emily Carter," he said my name as if he had known me forever. I stiffened. "Who are you?" The man tilted his head. "Someone who knows the truth." My breath hitched. "The truth?" His eyes gleamed. "Your real identity, the family that abandoned you? They're not as innocent as you think." My heart pounded. "What do you mean?" He smiled slightly. "Come with me, and I'll show you." I hesitated. Could I trust him? Could I really afford not to? "Come with me, and I'll show you the truth." Ethan's words hung in the air as I stared at him, my mind still reeling from everything that had happened. I had nothing left, no home, no family, no future. And yet, this man seemed to know something about me, something I had never been told. Could I trust him? Could I really afford not to? My hands trembled as I exhaled slowly. "Where are we going?" I finally asked. Ethan's lips curled into a knowing smile. "Somewhere you should have been a long time ago." Ethan led me to a small, dimly lit cafe. He slid a thick folder across the table. "Open it," he said. With shaky hands, I flipped it open. Inside were old news articles, hospital records, and DNA test results. I read the first page, my breath catching in my throat. A baby girl, switched at birth. My vision blurred as I turned the next page. A newspaper article from 23 years ago. The lost heiress of the Monroe family, missing since birth. My hands clenched around the paper. What is this? I whispered. Ethan's expression remained calm. It's proof, Emily. Proof that you were never meant to be a Carter. I shook my head. No, that can't be. Your parents knew, Ethan continued. They knew from the very beginning that you weren't their real daughter. A chill ran down my spine. Then why did they keep me? Ethan's gaze darkened. Because you were better than the daughter they lost. I could barely process his words. What do you mean? I demanded. Ethan leaned forward. Think about it. You were smart, obedient, hardworking. You excelled at everything. Meanwhile, the real daughter they lost, she wasn't as talented. She wasn't what they wanted. I thought of Olivia. The way my family had embraced her so effortlessly. The way they had erased me overnight. It had been too easy for them. Because in their hearts, they had never truly loved me. They had only loved the idea of me, the perfect daughter. They stole you, Ethan said quietly, and when the time came, they threw you away. A heavy silence settled between us. I wanted to scream, to deny everything, but deep down, I knew it was true. I had never belonged. Not to the Carter family, not to anyone. I closed the folder, my hands trembling. How did you find all this? Ethan exhaled slowly. I've been looking into this for a long time. You're not the first case of a stolen heiress, Emily. But yours is different, because it was intentional. I swallowed hard. Intentional? Ethan nodded. Someone swapped you on purpose. This wasn't just a mistake. Someone made sure you ended up with the Carter family, and the real heiress disappeared. I felt a wave of nausea rise in my stomach. Why? Who would do that? Ethan's expression darkened. That's what we need to find out. I stared at the documents again, my thoughts racing. For 23 years, I had lived a stolen life. For 23 years, I had loved a family that never truly loved me back. I had been nothing but a placeholder, a temporary substitute until they could reclaim their real daughter. And now they had her. Now I was nothing to them. Emily, Ethan said, his voice firm, you deserve to know who you really are. My hands clenched into fists. I had spent the last 2 days being humiliated, abandoned, erased. I had been tossed aside like garbage, and I was done. I want to know everything, I said, my voice steady. Ethan's lips curled into a smirk. Then let's begin. Emily Carter stood outside the iron gates of the Carter estate, her breath turning to mist in the cold evening air. Snowflakes drifted lazily from the sky, landing on her shoulders, but she barely noticed. She had told herself she wouldn't come back, but she had nowhere else to go. Her fingers hovered over the doorbell before she finally pressed it. No answer. She rang again. After a long pause, the maid, Mrs. Turner, appeared, bundled in a thick coat. She looked uneasy, her eyes darting back toward the house. Miss Emily, you shouldn't be here. Emily's stomach twisted. She already knew what was coming. I just need to grab my things, she said quietly. Mrs. Turner hesitated. Mr. Carter gave strict orders. You're not allowed inside. Emily's fingers curled into fists. Not allowed inside? She echoed. It's for Miss Olivia's comfort, the maid added, shifting uncomfortably. The words hit like a slap. Emily felt something inside her break. This wasn't her home anymore. It never had been. She inhaled sharply, trying to keep her voice steady. Then, can you at least get my documents? Mrs. Turner looked conflicted but finally nodded. Wait here. Emily watched her retreat into the house, leaving her alone in the freezing night. While she waited, Emily stared at the warm glow coming from the living room window. Inside, she could see them, her family. They sat together, laughing over dinner. Her mother placed a plate of food in front of Olivia, smiling warmly. Her father poured Olivia a glass of wine, toasting to her return. Daniel leaned over, ruffling Olivia's hair the way he used to do with Emily. They looked so happy, happier than Emily had ever seen them, as if she had never existed. Tears burned behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. A few minutes later, Mrs. Turner returned, handing Emily a small bag. "Your documents are all in here." Emily opened it, scanning through the contents: her birth certificate, school records, awards, and then she froze. Tucked between the pages was a medical report from years ago. Emily's hands trembled as she unfolded the paper. A DNA test. They had known, from the very beginning, her parents had known she wasn't their real daughter, and yet they had kept her, because she had been useful. Emily staggered back, bile rising in her throat. She clutched the papers to her chest, the weight of betrayal pressing down on her. They had chosen her over their real daughter because she had been smarter, more obedient. And now that Olivia was back, she was nothing. Emily? She looked up to see Ethan Walker standing near the gate, his sharp gaze flickering between her and the house. "You shouldn't be here," he said. Emily let out a hollow laugh. "Don't worry, I'm not staying." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "You're shivering." She hadn't even realized how cold she was. Or maybe she just didn't care anymore. Before she could take a step, her vision blurred. The world tilted. The last thing she felt was Ethan's arms catching her before everything went black. Emily woke up in a hospital bed, an IV drip attached to her arm. The nurse beside her sighed. "You had a fever and collapsed in the snow. Someone brought you in just in time." Emily's throat was dry. "Who?" "A man named Ethan Walker." Emily turned her head slightly, noticing her phone on the bedside table. "We tried calling your family," the nurse continued. "Your brother was the first contact on your list, but—" She hesitated. Emily already knew. "He didn't believe you, did he?" she whispered. The nurse's jaw tightened. "He said you were probably faking it for attention." A bitter laugh bubbled up in Emily's throat. "Of course. Do you have any other family to call?" Emily stared at the ceiling. "No," she said, "I don't." By the next morning, Emily forced herself out of bed. She still had an exam to take. Her body ached, her fever barely broken, but she wouldn't let them take this from her too. She walked into the exam hall, gripping her pen so tightly her knuckles turned white. No matter how much pain she was in, she would not break. She finished the exam, and then she left. Forever. By evening, Emily was at the airport, a one-way ticket to New York clutched in her hand. She had booked the flight on impulse, but now, standing at the boarding gate, she knew. There was no turning back. Her phone buzzed. Ethan. She let it ring, then another call. Her mother, her father, Daniel. They kept calling. She stared at the screen, her fingers hovering over the answer button, and then she turned the phone off. She had made her choice. As she walked toward the boarding gate, she whispered under her breath, "Goodbye." Emily stood in front of the towering glass building, her heart pounding. The Monroe Corporation. For weeks she had scoured documents, pieced together fragments of her past, and now she was finally here. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. "I need to see Rebecca Monroe," she told the receptionist. The woman raised an eyebrow. "Do you have an appointment?" Emily hesitated. "No, but—" "Then I'm afraid Mrs. Monroe is unavailable." Emily clenched her fists. She had come too far to be turned away now. "Tell her," she whispered. "Tell her it's about her daughter." Minutes later, Emily found herself in a grand office facing the most powerful woman she had ever seen. Rebecca Monroe sat behind a mahogany desk, her sharp eyes scrutinizing Emily. "Who are you?" she asked coldly. Emily swallowed hard. I think I'm your daughter." A heavy silence filled the room. Then Rebecca laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "Do you know how many people have tried to scam me with that story?" she said. "My daughter was stolen from me 23 years ago. I've searched for her my whole life." Emily's hands trembled as she placed a DNA report on the desk. "Then test me," she whispered. "If I'm lying, I'll leave. But if I'm telling the truth, you owe me the chance to know who I really am." Rebecca's expression flickered. Then she picked up the phone. "Dr. Hastings, prepare a test." 2 days later, Emily stood in the Monroe estate, her heart racing as Rebecca opened the envelope. For a long moment Rebecca said nothing. Then she looked up, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "It's you," she whispered. Emily's knees felt weak. I really am your daughter?" Rebecca let out a shaky breath, then suddenly she was hugging Emily, tightly, as if she were afraid to let go. "I never stopped looking for you," Rebecca murmured. "Not for a single day." Tears streamed down Emily's face. She had spent her whole life feeling unwanted. And now, here was a woman who had never stopped searching for her. She wasn't abandoned. She was stolen. That evening, the Monroe estate was filled with emotion. Emily met her biological family, her grandmother, her cousins, the people who should have been in her life all along. They welcomed her with open arms, showering her with love and warmth. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling of unease. "It's too fast," she told Ethan later that night. "I don't know how to feel about all of this." Ethan nodded. "You don't have to figure it out today, just take your time." Emily bit her lip. She had spent years yearning for a place to belong. Now that she had it, why did it feel so overwhelming? Meanwhile, across the city, the Carter household was in chaos. Daniel threw the DNA report onto the table. "She's a Monroe, the real daughter of that family." Mr. Carter paled. This can't be happening." Olivia bit her lip. "What if they find out the truth?" Mrs. Carter clutched her pearls. "If this gets out, we're finished." For years, they had built their lives on a stolen lie, and now their secret was crumbling. Emily stood in front of the Carter mansion, her hands clenched into fists. She had promised herself she would never come back, but she needed answers. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward and rang the doorbell. The butler opened the door, his expression tightening at the sight of her. "Miss Emily, you shouldn't be here." Emily's heart twisted, but she kept her voice steady. "I need to speak to them." A long pause. Then, reluctantly, he stepped aside. "They're in the living room." When Emily entered, all conversation stopped. Her mother, Susan Carter, sat stiffly on the couch, her fingers gripping a teacup. Her father avoided her gaze, and Olivia, her replacement, looked almost uncomfortable. "Emily," Susan finally said, her voice carefully controlled. "Why are you here?" Emily stepped forward. "You knew," she said, her voice shaking. "You knew I wasn't your real daughter. You knew the whole time, didn't you?" No one spoke. The silence was deafening. Then, Susan sighed, setting her cup down. "Emily, we raised you. We gave you everything. Do you really think we didn't love you?" Emily laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. "Love?" she echoed. "You threw me away the second Olivia came back." Susan's eyes hardened. "You need to understand," she said. "Family is about blood, Emily. Olivia is our real daughter, but that doesn't mean we didn't care about you." Emily's hands curled into fists. "So why did you keep me?" Her father finally spoke, his voice low. "Because you were better than her." Emily froze. Her father exhaled, rubbing his temples. "You were perfect, Emily. You studied hard. You made us proud. Olivia, she wasn't like that. She wasn't strong enough." Emily's stomach turned. "So you used me," she whispered. Susan pursed her lips. "We gave you a life you never would have had. And now you've taken it all away," Emily shot back. Olivia shifted uncomfortably. "I never wanted this," she suddenly said. Everyone turned to her. Olivia looked at Emily, guilt flickering in her eyes. "I didn't want to come back. They forced me." Emily's breath caught. "What?" Olivia swallowed hard. "They were afraid of what people would say if they didn't take me back. The rich Monroe family wanted their daughter, and the Carters couldn't be the ones who rejected their own blood." Emily's hands trembled. "So I was just an inconvenience." No one denied it. Emily exhaled slowly, her heart pounding in her chest. She had expected anger. She had expected excuses. But hearing the truth, that she had only ever been a convenient placeholder, it cut deeper than she thought possible. "I see," she finally said. She turned to Olivia. "You have my life now. Make sure you don't waste it." Then, without another word, she walked away. And this time, she knew she would never return. The scandal broke out like wildfire. Headlines screamed across every major newspaper and news website. Monroe heiress stolen at birth, Carter family under investigation. Rebecca Monroe had pulled every string, used every resource at her disposal. The truth about the baby swap was no longer a private affair. It was now a public outrage. Emily sat in the Monroe estate, watching the news play on a massive TV screen. The footage showed Susan Carter and Mr. Carter shielding their faces as reporters swarmed them. Mr. Carter, did you know about the baby swap all along? Mrs. Carter, what do you have to say about the accusations? They had once been respected elites in high society. Now they were disgraced criminals. And for the first time, Emily felt nothing. No sympathy, no regret, just justice. Not long after the scandal erupted, Olivia came to see Emily. Her expression was unreadable. "Are you happy now?" she asked softly. Emily sighed. "This was never about revenge, Olivia." Olivia let out a bitter laugh. "Maybe not for you. But do you know what's happened to me since all this started?" Emily frowned. "What do you mean?" Olivia looked away. "The Monroe family doesn't want me. The Carter family is finished. I have nowhere to go." Emily hesitated. She had hated Olivia for taking her place. But in this moment, Olivia looked just as lost as she had felt weeks ago. "What are you going to do?" Emily asked. Olivia exhaled. "I'm leaving." Emily's eyes widened. "Leaving? Where?" Olivia shrugged. "Anywhere but here. I refuse to be caught between two families that only care about their reputations." And just like that, Olivia was gone. That night, Emily stood on the Monroe estate balcony, staring at the city skyline. Everything had changed. She was Emily Monroe now, the rightful daughter of this powerful family. Her mother had welcomed her with open arms. Her name was in every newspaper. But deep down, did she really belong here? Ethan Walker stepped onto the balcony beside her. "You're thinking about leaving, aren't you?" Emily didn't answer right away. Then she nodded. "I don't know if I want to be part of this world." Ethan studied her for a moment, then smirked. "Then make your own path." Emily took a deep breath, and for the first time she felt free. Rebecca Monroe stood by the window, her arms crossed. "You don't have to leave, Emily." Emily exhaled, gripping her suitcase. "I do." Her mother turned, desperation flickering in her eyes. "You have a home here. You have a family here. Why are you running away?" Emily hesitated. For weeks, she had been embraced as the lost Monroe heiress, showered with affection and privileges she had never dreamed of. But deep down, she felt just as out of place as before. "I don't belong here," Emily admitted. Rebecca's expression tightened. "You are my daughter. You belong with me." Emily swallowed hard. "I need to find out who I am, on my own terms." As Emily stepped out of the Monroe estate, a familiar figure leaned against a black car. "Ethan Walker." "You're leaving," he noted, watching her closely. Emily nodded. "Are you going to try to stop me too?" Ethan chuckled. "No, I expected this." Emily tilted her head. "How did you know?" Ethan's smirk faded. "Because I know you, Emily. More than you realize." She frowned. "What do you mean?" Ethan exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "It's time I tell you the truth about why I was there that night." Emily froze. "The night I collapsed in the snow?" Ethan nodded. "I wasn't just some stranger who happened to find you." Emily's heart pounded. "Then, why were you there?" Ethan met her gaze, his voice steady. "Because Rebecca Monroe sent me to find you." Emily felt as if the ground had shifted beneath her feet. "You were working for my mother?" Ethan's gaze didn't waver. "She hired me years ago. She never stopped looking for you, Emily. I was meant to bring you home." Emily's breath caught. Every moment, every encounter, it had never been by chance. So everything was just a job to you? Ethan hesitated. At first. Emily's chest tightened. "And now?" A long silence stretched between them. Then softly, Ethan said, "Now, I just want you to be happy." Emily stared at the road ahead. The past few months had been a whirlwind, of betrayal, of loss, of discovery. She had lost one family. She had gained another. But she had also learned something more important. that her identity wasn't defined by the people around her. It was something she had to forge for herself. Emily turned to Ethan. "Come with me." His eyes widened slightly. "Where?" Emily smiled. "Anywhere but here." And with that, she walked forward, leaving her past behind and stepping toward her future.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss any future content.